as the day begins under a warm dawn. Rich, on the other hand, is singing songs and flirting with strangers. Ben calls his wife and tells her he'll be home soon. Their son is sick and she needs him. At the airport, we see Dan smoking, but security soon asks him to put out his cigarette. Dan charges his phone using a power bank and stuffs it inside his suitcase. While checking his bag, security asks him if he has any batteries inside the suitcase. But Dan cleverly changes the subject. Ben notices a little girl named Cora who is nervous about her flight. He tries to cheer her up by saying that flying on a plane is completely safe. It works, and Cora begins to relax. Cora asks Ben if he is the captain, but he says he's the first officer. Soon, Jaya and Finn appear, who are Cora's stepmom and stepbrother. Jaya is putting a tracker on Finn just in case Cora makes fun of him. Meanwhile, Dan's bag passes through multiple security checks without raising anyone's suspicion. An esports team is also boarding the plane. One of the Chinese girls gets teased by one of the American players. To protect her, one of her teammates steps in. The verbal exchange ends. Once the American coach sends away the player who was teasing her, Dan casually boards the plane without drawing any attention. Everything is ready for takeoff. All the passengers take their seats as the plane slowly lifts off. Down in the cargo hold, Dan's bag is loaded into a container. While talking to Rich, Ben reveals that he was suspended from the airline after getting into a quarrel with one of his former superiors. Rich points out that Ben also lost all the benefits and pension that came with his job. With a wife and a sick child, living as a first officer must be difficult. Dan calls over a flight attendant and asks for earplugs because the man sitting beside him is snoring. The flight attendant apologizes and says they've run out. So Dan pulls out a cigarette and stuffs it into his ear instead. The Chinese girl asks her friend why he blamed her instead of the American guy. He tells her she has been acting aggressively ever since their tournament. The girl teases him by asking, "Then why are you scared to read my letter?" The guy gets up and heads to the washroom. Inside, he takes out the letter and stares at it. Back in the cockpit, Cora's dad asks her to be nicer to her stepbrother. Cora ignores him. Her dad kisses Jaya, who notices Cora making funny faces. Wanting some private time, they both head into the restroom. The little kid, looking for his parents, asks Cora where they went to pull his leg.
She tells him they went behind the plane to the pool.
Believing her, he walks to the back of the plane and meets a guy playing a video game. Meanwhile, Dan notices a fire warning. He turns on the fire extinguishing system, but doesn't work as it's supposed to. Dan quickly takes command in Rich's absence and asks for the nearest airport. It turns out the closest airport is over 400 miles away. When Rich arrives, he orders his crew to go down and put out the fire. Two crew members gear up and head toward the fire. They try to extinguish it, but it suddenly explodes. Multiple oxygen cylinders burst, severely damaging the aircraft. Things quickly spiral out of control. As the passengers realize the plane has been compromised, everyone puts on their oxygen masks, preparing for the worst. Meanwhile, Cora's parents pass out inside the restroom. Falling luggage crashes into several passengers, knocking them unconscious. Rich somehow takes control and stabilizes the plane. The Chinese guy runs out of the bathroom and tries to get to Lisa, who is sitting with Cora. A flight attendant asks him to sit down and stay safe. Dan goes to the restroom to smoke in a panic. To make things worse, one of the plane's engines blows up. The plane starts breaking apart into pieces. Ben and Rich do their best to restart the engine. Rich announces they are going down. Everyone braces for impact as the plane crashes into the ocean and flips over, breaking apart in the middle. Many passengers die instantly on impact. Water begins flooding in from every direction. When Ben wakes up, he finds Rich unconscious. The cockpit windshield is about to shatter under the pressure. A flight attendant leaves Cora to help Ben and Rich. Rich tells them to use an axe to pry his leg free. A horrifying view from the cockpit reveals countless dead bodies. The Chinese man looks for Lisa, but she is no longer in her seat. All he sees are injured passengers struggling to stay alive. He calls out for her, but she is nowhere to be found. Finn wakes up underwater with Stranger. A flight attendant trapped with them tosses over a flashlight. Lisa, who's outside the wreckage, makes her way toward a broken section of the plane, but something attacks her from beneath the water. She somehow manages to climb onto the tail section, though her leg is badly injured. Back in the cockpit, Rich has given up and asks Ben to take command and leave him behind. Ben refuses at first, but reluctantly leaves, closing the cockpit door behind him. Cora hugs the flight attendant in fear as Ben looks out toward the horizon. Back with Finn, the stranger helps him climb up, but when the stranger looks outside, he is startled by a giant octopus. We then get a shot, revealing that their side of the plane is completely underwater. Cora's parents regain consciousness. Declan opens the restroom door and water instantly floods inside. Reach alone in the cockpit, looks at a photo of his family, and sings softly before dying under the crushing water pressure. Finn and the others find Becky, who encourages them to climb up and get out. Meanwhile, the flight attendant with Ben decides to swim toward the middle section of the plane before she leaves. Cora asks her to look for her parents and her stepbrother as they watch her swim away. Cora notices something strange lurking beneath the water. When she realizes what it is, she screams, "Shark!" But her warning barely reaches the flight attendant. Ben deploys an emergency raft and helps Cora put on a life jacket. They both climb onto the raft to rescue the flight attendant. The man who helped Finn is about to open the main door when the flight attendant stops him. She reminds everyone that they are trapped inside an air pocket. Opening the door would certainly flood the compartment and drown them all. Ben and Cora finally get close enough to warn the flight attendant. She senses something moving beneath the water, and before it attacks, quickly tries to climb onto the raft. But something grabs her and pulls her back. She makes one last desperate attempt, but this time, the beast drags her completely underwater, turning the blue water blood red. Ben is horrified. The shark lunges out of the water, and Ben uses one of the paddles to fight it back. In another section of the plane, the Chinese guy, Dan, and a few others assess the situation. Just then, the rocks beneath the plane give way, causing one of the passengers to lose her balance and fall into the water. She manages to climb back out just in the nick of time before the shark can reach her. Finn is terrified, but Becky and the others help calm him down. Finn tells them that his family was on the plane too. The man who helped Finn introduces himself as Matt, and the flight attendant says her name is Zoe. Just then, their section of the plane shakes violently, causing Finn to panic once again. The Chinese guy notices that the coral reef can't support their weight unless they move farther back. The American esports player doesn't like the idea, but before the argument escalates, the others intervene and begin moving back, being his usual self. Dan teases the flight attendant for not getting him any alcohol. As the group moves back, they find Lisa, but she isn't alone. A shark suddenly attacks one of the esports players. The American player, who was reluctant to move earlier, blames the Chinese guy and starts beating him. Ben steps in and stops the fight. Becky offers Finn some nuts, but he declines, saying his mom doesn't let him eat nuts because she doesn't want him getting fat. Matt wonders how much air they have left. Zoe says she could swim down and look for a way out, but Matt refuses, insisting he'll go instead. After sharing a brief moment with Zoe, he dives down as he makes his way through the wreckage. He sees countless passengers dead. Farther down, he discovers an opening. Somehow, he reaches the surface and screams for help. Cora's dad spots Matt and asks about Cora. Before Matt can answer, a shark attacks and kills him instantly. Horrified, Matt screams even louder. Ben tries to calm everyone down. Dan fires back, saying this is probably Ben's fault, without losing his composure. Ben reminds everyone that there were 257 passengers on the plane, and now only 30 of them are left. He quickly orders the American player to retrieve a raft. While he goes back for the emergency locator, everyone puts on a life jacket and climbs onto the raft. Cora, still searching for her father, tries to go back, but Ben grabs her just in time before a shark attacks. Moments later, the coral reef shatters. An entire plane slips deeper into the ocean. Ben and Cora are thrown into the water. After climbing back onto the raft, Ben asks Dan for the emergency locator, only to learn that Don dropped it into the water. Instead of admitting his mistake, Dan, once again, blames Ben for not taking better care of something so important. He says this was all his doing and punches him, but Ben has had enough and knocks him down. Sam finds Hutch unconscious and helps him get to the surface. But soon the sharks cover them everywhere. Ben says that they are gonna go and save them. The sharks soon fill up the space, but the raft has already managed to get there, and together they save the boys. Zoe gets ready to swim with Finn as they are almost out of oxygen. Becky tells them that she is in no condition to swim and asks them to leave her there. They leave from there reluctantly and start to swim through the plane. Suddenly, they come across Matt's body, leaving them horrified. They manage to swim to the surface and find an inflatable raft. There they are all in on the raft, and Ben says that since Don has lost the most important thing, now they have to rely on sheer luck. Don asks him to find out another way, as his kids are not growing up without him. Just then, they see a helicopter and scream for help, but the chopper can't hear anything and soon leaves. Zoe deploys the raft and gets Finn up, but suddenly she is dragged down by the sharks. She gives it one more shot and manages to get up on the raft, but she is badly injured, and soon all the loss of blood makes her unconscious. Finn tries to look for help, but accidentally falls into the water and a shark immediately comes for him. The sun has set, Becky has almost run out of oxygen. She looks at her granddaughter's pictures and says that she has made her the happiest. She wishes her the best and takes her last breath. And a team of helpers has finally started to look for them. Some Chinese men are fishing when they get a notification on the radio about the plane crash. They are near the scene and should try to help out as many people as they can. All the people are waiting on the raft for someone to come and save them. Hutch thanks Sam for saving his life. He then asks Sam to confess his love for Lisa. He says that life is too short and he shouldn't take the chance anymore. Cora says that she has failed as a sister. Her father asked her to look after Finn, but she didn't do it. Ben shows him a picture of his family and says that his kids are waiting for him. Both of them will find their way back to their family. Just then, the chopper comes for them and they cry out in happiness. One of the men prepares to get down. Not knowing that it's filled with sharks, everyone tries to warn him, but he can't hear them. He reaches the surface and is immediately attacked by a shark. The copper manages to pull him up, but he loses a leg in the process. The shark then devours the man and drags down the helicopter, which causes the raft to flip and everyone falls into the sea. All of them start to climb up, but Dan drops an air hostess in the process, and she gets devoured by the shark. They see the ship, and Ben lights the flare. The ship finds them, but soon stops. Leaving them perplexed, Ben says that they can't cross the reef, and they will have to drag the raft to them. Just then, he notices that Cora is not on the raft. They find her waiting on the broken piece of the plane. Dan suggests leaving her there, but he says that he's not going to let anything happen to her and jumps in the water as he swims. The shark gets closer to him, but he manages to get on the surface before getting attacked. He puts a jacket on her and asks her to hold on to him. He then jumps into the water and starts to swim with her. The sharks soon start surrounding them from all sides. The fishermen see this, and the captain instructs them to release the catch back to the sea. One of the sharks is about to attack Cora, but Ben shoots it with a flare. They have run out of ammo and shark comes for them, but suddenly it turns back and all the sharks go towards the ship. The ship has released all the fish, and the sharks start to feast on them. Dan finds a pack of cigarettes and gets it on the raft. He wants to smoke and finally chill, but the lighter doesn't work. Suddenly, a shark drags him down. He gives it his best fight, but it shreds him to pieces. Although no one shows remorse for him, it's the next morning and finally everyone is safe. Sam finally confesses his feelings for Lisa, and she kisses him on the cheek. Ben goes to Cora, who is sad about the fact that she is not with her family. Everyone finally gets reception on their phone. Cora takes Ben's phone and says that her brother had a GPS tracker. If they have a reception, they can find him. And sure enough, they find his location. They soon go there and find Zoe lying there half dead. They think Finn is gone, but Zoe says that she has kept him safe. The sibling duo finally Zoe asks about her team members, but Ben says that they aren't alive. Ben sees a picture of his deceased son and breaks down. He calls his wife, who is relieved to hear his voice. His son then says that he misses his dad and wants to see him. Ben says that the wait is over and he is coming back to them.